So that's biological science.
Yeah.
Then there's the ones that look at skeletons and whatnot.
Right, that would be
Rocks.
the paleoanthropology. Well, I have an answer also to this question about paleoanthropology. Suppose, you dig up a skull cap that looks like it might be part of a human skull, or it might be part of a giant gibbon or something, or
Yeah.
or the bones, are sort of halfway between. For this reason, they generally say that the precursors of Homo sapiens go back about 1,000,000 years. And then previous to that, it's various kind of Pithecus, that is, of apes. Now, on the other hand, we know that the art of writing was invented very suddenly about 5,000 years ago, because around 3000 BC, within a space of 100 years of each other, 3 different complete sets of writing appeared: Proto-Elamite, the Phoenician, and the Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Mm.
And they used 3 different technologies of writing, and the idea of whether they represented sounds or pictures or other characters and so forth. Well, they were all different, but they were all invented about within 100 years of each other. And they are supposedly complete. That is, they can express any idea that can be expressed in words.
Wow. Okay.
But now, why does an invention as useful as the art of writing appear suddenly? It only appears, at least children only learn to read and write when they're ready for it. You might teach a few prodigies earlier, but unless they're about 5 or 6 years old, they don't learn. So therefore, it turns out that very probably the ability to speak words could only be a few thousand years older than that. The reason why we don't know, what the words or language were of these,
What exactly they sounded like.
What they sounded like, these 1,000,000-year-old creatures that left their bones 1,000,000 years ago. But if they were as intelligent as Homo sapiens, then why did they wait 995,000 years before they invented the art of writing?
That's a good point.
They'd say, well, maybe the writing materials were perishable. Well, the bones are perishable. We have the bones, we don't have the written materials.
Hmm.
So therefore, it seems to me like the Bible is much more accurate when it places the creation of Adam and Eve at just a few thousand years ago, maybe 6,000 years ago or something like that, which would be and it would only be a few thousand years before they invented the art of writing. That fits in perfectly. And it's about the Bible in the creation story. It's about the use of signs. The sun and the moon and the stars were to be signs of seasons and days and years. And human beings are the best at using signs, auditory signs, to communicate. Other animals don't do that. They don't talk.
Hmm.
So we're the only ones that really talk well enough.
We can teach them a few words here and there.
Yeah,
Parrots or
you
huskies.
you can teach them a few words, and they've also taught sign language to apes, but the apes don't, or the chimpanzees don't teach their children, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, very true.
And so forth. So really, we are the dominant species in this. There's a whole difference, a change in kind in the ability of humans to handle signs. Well, that's what the Bible says, that the sun and the moon were given as signs of seasons and days and years. And not everyone can tell the day or can read time by the stars, but at least some humans can do that. Some animals can respond to the sun and moon. They can make migrations at certain times of the year. plants cannot. So therefore, the last 3 days of the creation story, days 4, 5, and 6, are about the ability to use signs.
Wow. Okay, so that's pretty soon after the
Anyway, that's
formation of the planet and so forth. But we don't have all the scientific substance for.
Well,
this, do
it
we?
was after the Earth was able to support vegetation, so it was after the 3rd day. But at a certain point, God endowed certain creatures, migratory creatures, with the ability to understand the signs in the sky enough to be able to return on the same day of the year. And then he endowed humans at the same time he created them, he endowed them with the ability to understand signs, because as soon as Adam and Eve were created, they could talk.
So you're saying they didn't evolve from some other creature?
Well, there would hardly be enough time if the days were governed by the sun, and they were after the 4th day.
So that's by light and astronomy, we know that much?
Yeah, and we know that the sun makes 24-hour days. When the sun governs, it makes 24-hour days on the Earth. It can't do anything else. Except at the North and South Pole, a day is a year, because there's 6 months of darkness and 6 months of daylight.
Yeah, it's really, really different.
Mhm.
So I got to spend some time during the winter in Iceland, and that day was, like, daylight was about 4 hours, I think, and the rest, the sun was setting, and it would take it forever to set, or forever to come up, and have some light, not nearly as much as a full day in southern France or Indiana.
My sister lives in Fairbanks, Alaska, and she says they never have fireworks on the 4th of July because it never gets that dark. On the other hand, she would drive a school bus in winter on the ice, and it was always dark. In winter, there wasn't any day.
I don't know, I live in that situation, but wow, some interesting stuff.
So, the Bible story checks out again that the humankind is not real humankind, the intelligent, speaking, rational humankind is not 1,000,000 years old. It's not even 100,000 years old. It's in the order of just the amount of time that the Bible said.
Thousands or tens of thousands of years.
Right. So, everything checks out, and against all the prejudices of people, the Bible is really up to date.
When you found out it checked out, were you surprised, or, I mean?
I always believed that it did, but I couldn't lay it out. I didn't know how to make the two come together until I realized that the big stumbling block is assuming that the word day always means 24 hours, when in fact that phrase never occurs in the Bible.
And I remember when I first talked to you, you didn't exactly tell me what it is you had to say, but you said that many churches and many scientists didn't like it.
Well, many churches believe there are two types. One is very literalist, but they also confuse Bible literalism with literalism of the phrase 24 hours, which isn't in the Bible. And it's hard to change their opinions. And then the churches that say, well, basically the creation story is just mythical, it's there to teach a few ideas, but we shouldn't press it to have scientific details because it was never intended for that. In that case, everything that I'm saying is unimportant to them, but also they lose their young people to teachers who are out to press the idea that the Bible is a bunch of myths, and science has obviously superseded it because their the interpretation of the Bible doesn't jive with the scientific findings.
Mm.
Well, if you interpret the Bible to always talk about 24 hours in the first 6 days of creation, then it does not jive. But it's not necessary to do that. It's not even consistent with the Bible to do that, because the phrase 24 hours doesn't occur.
Okay.
Actually, it doesn't say the evening and the morning were the first day. It says there was evening, there was morning, one day. So that a sequence of evening and morning is defined as one day. Later it says the second day and the third day and the fourth day, but it never says the first day in Genesis. It just says one day.
Oh, okay. That's interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
So one light.
Yeah, a day.
One darkness, one light.
What is a day? It is a period of darkness followed by a period of general illumination.
To be
in nature,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that definition
I can
works
see
works on Mars, for example. A day on Mars is not 24 hours,
That's true.
but 24 hours in about 40 minutes. It rotates a little bit more slowly.
Yeah. And Pluto, it's almost a year, if I remember right.
Let's see here. On Venus, the rotation is very slow. On Jupiter, it spins so fast that a day is about 10 hours. Yeah.
That'd be a short day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't be able to live there anyway because of all the gas around it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
On the Sun, one period of rotation is about 26, 28 days, something like that. However, it's always day on the Sun because it's always light.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I can see why you'd be passionate about this sort of thing, finding out where light and substance and everything came from and how old it is, and lasers are cool too.
Yeah. I've actually had a lot of fun and been able to work on a lot of different interesting things. But through it all, I have read the Bible. Usually I read it every day now, and it still doesn't get old like other books, because the Bible, you might say, isn't so much a matter of interpreting the Bible as the Bible interpreting us, with different things. It always seems to have something that applies to life situations as they change and as we develop and so forth. So I stick with the Bible. It's been proved, and more recently it has been shown to be accurate with information from the very beginning.
Wow. That's great.
It is, and that must suggest that it has more than just a compilation of ancient ideas. It must have something behind it. In fact, it claims that it was inspired by God. And it's really hard to imagine how it could have been right if it wasn't inspired by God.
Wow.
So thank you for the interview. I've enjoyed this.
Good. I'm glad. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronomer. It was the first thing I wanted to do. So this is great. I love this. I don't know how to explain that, but this is refreshing. It reminded me of some of the things I used to look into about life in space and how it would be possible and all those things.
Yeah, I read a lot of science fiction also when I was a teenager. And when I was watching the moonwalks, I realized that the best science fiction writers had predicted almost everything about it.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
The one thing they didn't predict was the long names of things. The backpack was not the backpack, but the portable life support system. The shovel with which they picked up moon rocks was not the shovel, but the lunar sample extractor.
It's hard to make up those names.
Right, well, the government said, it's a new environment and, we don't want to prejudice people's ideas. So let's have people think up all the possible ways to pick up a rock, especially when it's low gravity and, when you're in a spacesuit and, so they would think up different things. It turned out in the end that the best, easiest way to pick up a rock is with a shovel.
Simplicity beat out the
Yeah.
complicated ways of doing it.
Right.
Well, thanks for the interview, and yeah, it's great. All right.
Yeah, you can pursue your dreams of astronomy now much more inexpensively. You can look through the Hubble telescope the same way astronomers do, because astronomers don't go up in orbit, look through the eyepiece. It doesn't even have an eyepiece.
Yeah.
They take pictures and then they send them down to Earth, and NASA, when they get the pictures, puts them on the internet, and then the astronomers look them up on the internet. You can also look them up on the internet and see the pictures the same way the astronomers do. The only thing you can't do is direct the telescope to
what you want
targets.
to see.
No, that you can't do. You've got to have the right codes and the project for that.
Thankfully, that would be pretty bad as far as security.
It sure would, yeah. There's all sorts of people who would like to do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, unnecessarily scientifically useful things.
That's right.
Thanks.
Okay, great, thank you.